Yeah. So how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I woke up for a couple hours in the middle of the night last night and then wrote some stuff down and
What made you decide to start getting into family entertainment? And did
I
your
thought
did,
I always did family entertainment. I didn't
did you?
realize doing it. I just found out recently that wasn't family entertainment. My wife told me she's never let my kids see anything I've ever done. So I said maybe I don't make family entertainment. So then we made a movie called Daddy Daughter Trip, which is out now,
Uh-huh.
downloads and iTunes and PlayStation. You can get the movie Voodoo. Um, so I wanted to make something that little kids can see. I mean, I remember I tried to watch my kids to see 5 minutes of one of the movies I did for Sony, The Animal, and like 5 minutes in, my 5-year-old was crying. I was like, all right, turn off. Um, so this was something that I support Daily Wire Entertainment because they're trying to make entertainment for the 48 states that have been ignored by Hollywood, and I really, really like them. I mean, Adela Saunier is a very good filmmaker, and when he talked to me about doing something, I jumped at it, and I was very happy that it was family friendly and that it was about American history. And I think this is a very good organization. I really like Ben Shapiro, and I think he's a wonderful intellect. Do I agree with everything he says? No, but the fact that he's able to express himself in such an intelligent way and to do so forcefully he is a force of nature, and I admire him. And I think there need to be more people to step up and do it in an eloquent way, like Ben does, to debate and come up with ideas, and then maybe change your ideas or have your ideas, your fundamental or should say foundational thinking questioned. And that's a wonderful thing. So we need more of that. So I'm proud to be associated at all with Daily Wire Entertainment.
When did you become Catholic? Have you
Well,
is this a very new thing? Because the announcement was recent.
in the pandemic, yeah. Well, I mean, I went to catechism with my daughter, and I was 45 years older than the next oldest kid. Talk about being behind. Um, and it was beautiful. I love it, and I think that it's always been there. Just come to us. It's like Jesus was never far from me, um, and I think finally it really did work for me, and then why the Catholic Church works for me more than and people who get caught up in denominations and people who have problems with, and there are people who attack the Catholic Church constantly. I would say that I don't agree with everything that Pope Francis says, but you don't need to. I mean, I really really appreciate the time that Father Passo has spent with me, and that my Father Greg in Phoenix, and then also Father Ripperger, um, because they've taken the pressure away from this, saying, look, anything involved with man is going to have problems, but you have to know that that's part of it. Any organization, and that's going to be is going to have its flaws because it's just human beings involved in it. But if you get to the core and why the Catholic Church to me is it works for me is because it's the closest to the actual words of Jesus Christ. And if you go to the Aramaic, to the Greek, to the Latin, it's right there. And that's why, Kevin James did a prayer with me in Latin, and understanding the words, the few words, and getting to understand more words. I wanted to open that up so that it gets closer, and so you can be as close as you can to Jesus Christ. And that proximity is something that has become very important to me as you see the world spin out, and as a foundation for my children, spiritual foundation. You could build a house, but if you build a house without faith, it's like I say, it's a house of on sand. But if you have build a house on faith, then you have something that no storm could blow away.
Well, I just want to say you are not late because I read the other day that there was a 90 something year old that joined the Catholic Church.
Good.
So you are right on time. You are in God's timing.
Thank you. Well, good. I feel better now. I feel like
I'm glad I can help. Can you just tell me how did your conversion happen?
Um, it's when I guess during the pandemic when I realized that there seemed to be an organized evil in the world that was undeniable after a while, and there's I've been very blessed in my life, and I've been able to look at things from different perspectives. And I remember M. Scott Peck, who's a Christian. But wasn't originally a Christian. He's the guy who wrote The Road Less Traveled, and I got to meet him. And one of his books, he talked about the delineation between where Catholicism and with the power of power at the time, the most powerful thing in the world, and science had to deviate and science had to go its way to survive because it was under attack by the powers that would be, the Catholic Church at the time, because of the attack on Galileo and Copernicus, who discovered that going against church doctrine, which was the Earth was the center of the solar system and not the sun. So at that point there had to be a divide, and at that point that divide was if somebody did something evil or did something like a murder or something, and theologically you would call him evil, and then science he's sick, but they're one and the same. And so I just couldn't go through life again with that divide in my head. I think it came back to like I said, I mean, I was the one drifting away, and Jesus was always there, I'm here, and far away. But then when it became more obvious, and then when I saw Father Ripberger, and I spent time with my father Paso in Phoenix, it became more. It became, I would say, not. It became more reassuring to hear the words of a priest telling me that Jesus already won. This is just a mop-up mission. And it's like, wow. And these challenges are supposed to face us at this particular time to test us. And God wants to test us, and God wants to challenge us because he loves us, and he wants to challenge us in every way imaginable. And I think it's also important to stand up for that and to have that spiritual strength. And you get that from being tested, not from being untested, not just from swallowing words, but from living the words. And I like that challenge, and I don't want to go through life as someone who's fearful or someone who's just who won't stand up when the time is called. And I think the time is called now.
So, do you have any favorite devotions or prayers or
I
to
have
that
I
give
have,
you strength?
I have the simple Catholic prayers, the simple Catholic ones. I mean, I did one. Kevin James, we did one. He gave a prayer in Latin, and my wife speaks Spanish. It's her first language, and my kids the language is Spanish. So I do, and I'm taking Duolingo, so I've got some pretty good understanding of some of the Latin, but I don't really understand it all. So I do need to have the translation. The other day we had um, my daughter's first communion uh, in Spanish,
Uh-huh.
Spanish and English. So the English part I got. It's a little,
So your whole family is Catholic?
yeah, but
Oh,
yes. So it's a good. I was the oldest person in the in the catechism by 45 years.
that's okay. I mean, 90-year-olds are becoming Catholic, so you're good.
No, it's good, and but it's uncomfortable to be brand new and be like 13-year-olds who are more knowledgeable about Catholicism than I am.
So did
Uh,
your whole family convert then, or were they already Catholic?
yeah, my daughter's now first communion, and so she's a Catholic, and then my wife is Catholic, and so it's important for the whole family, and not just to talk about it, but to live it and to go and to be there and to be part of the church, and to live as an example. And that is the most important thing, because you can talk all you want, You can tell people and you can tell them. That's what's nice about and Chilla is that the father is really engaged and not just telling them how to think or telling them about American history, but living a living, breathing example and playing with them and show them by this example of play that they can kind of whatever lessons that they can learn. And it's an example of what the country has. I mean, the country's pretty amazing. I mean, America's always, there's not about perfection. I don't think our founding fathers in this country were going for perfection. They were going for a better system, a system but where the individual had rights. And that was a real step in humanity to improve was for the individual. And just like, Christ speaks for each of us. He didn't come, doesn't say all. He says for you to be your personal savior. I think your connection to the Father, and that's a beautiful thing. So I did feel like that was a really good example, and an example for me to. I said I have to live that too. And then all the words that when I saw Father Ripperger, what I felt was happening in the country and what I felt was happening, I felt the country and was spiritually under attack, and I felt that there was a push to godlessness, some sort of this atheism, which was an opposition to the idea that there is no reason for it. We're just this gigantic accident that happened where where this everything is just bumping, like the universe is just bumping into stuff, and some accident that happened of consciousness where there's just this idea of love and forgiveness and empathy and compassion. There's just this accident that happened in the universe, and that just seems insane to me and not rational or logical. And the opposition to that is God and love and acceptance and forgiveness, which is a beautiful thing. And that's why Catholicism works for me, is because, like I said, it is the closest. I mean, I want to get the closest to it, to those actual words of Jesus Christ. And then to have to be an example, and to be an example is to, well, you have to talk about it and live it. And I don't know what I'm going to do with my life from now on. I don't know what this next chapter is going to happen, but it's nice to have work like this Chilla and this movie, this one Daddy Daughter Trip, because it's about family, and it's about love, and that has a great core to everything, to live our life. And if anything, what I liked about this this current work that I'm doing is a certain pride in America. I mean, there is a reason why you should stand up, and why the Pledge of Allegiance is important, why you should take your hat off and put your hand over your heart. This country and the people who've given these, who died for these freedoms, wasn't something that was given to us or granted. This is earned, and in the same way for Christians, specifically Catholics, is that there was a price paid, and that's why it's such this beautiful thing of the Shroud of Turin, which it's why that's such an important thing for Christians, is that's the receipt of what Jesus Christ, the price he paid for all of us. And that's very powerful. So when I worked on that script a few years ago, and I swear the last draft that we did, I was just writing down what was coming to me, and that became a cornerstone of pushing me towards this faith. And then when the pandemic came in, I realized that my family needed protection, and not just protection physically, but also spiritually. And I think that that's what was finally brought me to the Catholic Church, and wonderful people in it, beautiful, wonderful, welcoming people in the Catholic Church, that I feel like that is a real home, and a safe place where the greatest definition of home is when you go there, they have to let you in. And that's what Christ does. He welcomes all of us in. And I'm still humbled by it, and I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to find the the prayers and learning. And
I haven't even learned everything, and I've been Catholic my whole life. I'm still learning things every day. Every day I write an article on Church Pop. I learned something new.
yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and I'll tell you, I've never felt more peaceful and more at ease. And it is when you give your life over to God, it's like, thank you, take it off, please take this off of me. It's true. I mean, I felt because I really don't feel like I have to do anything in the sense of I don't feel this pressure from to achieve something else in life, or this thing or this. I just feel like whatever's going to happen now, I want it to come from a place of love, and a place of if I can serve God in any way, I want to do it. And I don't know how that's going to happen. I mean, hopefully this movie about the shroud will happen, because I think it's about faith. And I think we need that, and to bring more people to it. Not necessarily to preach to them, but to just show um the actual sacrifice, and to talk about what the core of Christianity is loving others.
I don't know if I heard about the Shroud of Turin. Is this a film that you're working on right now?
Yeah, for 5 years I've been trying
Oh,
this movie. Trying to we're not filmed it yet, but it's it's a true story about Joe Marino and his wife, who basically proved that the scientists tested the cloth in the wrong place, and they didn't put into their equation in the carbon dating that the French nuns had repaired this cloth with newer cloth, and it was what the French called an French invisible weave. And if you can imagine the dedication of these French nuns, um, repairing the actual burial cloth of their Lord, that they would dedicate absolute perfection in their work, and they did. And that was where it was tested. And so they had new cloth and new strands of cloth that were weaved into this 2,000-year-old Egyptian linen, and so that threw the carbon dating off. And so each of the pieces that were cut, the deeper that it went in, the further it went back in time. And this person, Joe Marino, was able to really come to a new understanding of why that dating was wrong. It's a remarkable thing, and like I said, it really, the best description of it I've ever heard was it's the receipt, and that's why it's been tried to be destroyed many times, and right now it's in the Turin, Italy.
wow. I didn't know that y'all or that you were working on something like that.
So I've been trying to make this for years. It's getting closer now, and I'd like to make it in 2024. And I think this time uh, it's such a great story that hopefully it'll bring more people into the faith, or at least an openness to what this really is. The burial cloth of Jesus Christ. It really is. It's actual tangible proof. And that's why it's you know, when I was working on that, it was uh, working as an entertainment piece, and as a really interesting story, and then it became a broadening of my faith, and it became a powerful thing that kind of, I don't know how else to say it, but it was breathed into me, and then it from there it was really the beginning. It was just, to me, what brought me to back to Jesus Christ was a confluence of things. It was children, it was the pandemic, it was working on this piece, and it was just and I think that's how, Jesus works. I think it's a is the constant, not telling you how to think, or not, but it's a constant reminder what this is really about, and what your life is, and where your life should be.
Right.
And so I think I've come to a place of peace with it, and I still have a long way to go, obviously.
What is your plan for the next several years? Like, are you planning on getting more into this kind of family entertainment and continuing this?
I don't. I mean, I honestly, that's a very good question. I mean, truthfully, Jacqueline, my I want to just have an openness, and that's why I want to discuss this, because I want other people to help me as well, and I want to be guided by and put myself out there and say whatever I'm supposed to do, I'm going to do. I'm going to have to. When you say turn over to God, I mean it's easy to say, but are you going to really do it? And I'm saying I am. I'm saying I'm putting it out there, and whatever I'm supposed to be doing, I'll do it. And it's it's spending time with my family and doing work that I want to have an openness to doing work that the purpose of which is not for my own self betterment or from just self enrichment, but I would like to do things that um, in whatever God's calling is. And I never thought I'd say that. I never thought I'd be down that road. And that's what a wonderful thing is, this new thing that's opened up in my life. And let's see what happens. I don't know.
Well, our journey of faith has never ends. Or we can think we have it, but look at the saints. They were working to be saints until the day they died. And I don't think we can ever reach the perfection that Jesus did, but we can certainly work towards that.
Yes, certainly. And also to, I definitely feel the pressure taken off, I mean, I think that's what the gift of Jesus Christ, and like again, talking about the shroud, and it was the receipt of like the gift is to take all that away from you, take that pressure off. Like, yeah, thank you. My goodness. I'm grateful. Thank God.
Well,
So
I'm grateful you opened up to me, and thank you so much.